Be ye holy, for I am holy. Be ye holy, for I am holy. Be ye holy, for I am holy.
Welcome to the Thursday cross-reference episode of the Selah Time to Pause podcast from Plexus Salvation Army, an online church in the UK. On Monday, in our walk through John's Gospel, we thought about our lives shining with the light of God. Today, we're continuing that thought from 1 Peter 1 verse 16. Be ye holy, for I am holy.
I will stop and breathe in your presence. Just breathe. Just breathe.
So roll up your sleeves, get your head in the game, be totally ready to receive the gift that's coming. Don't lazily slip back into those old grooves of evil, doing just what you feel like doing. You didn't know any better then. You do now. As obedient children, let yourselves be pulled into a way of life shaped by God's life. A life energetic and blazing with holiness. God said, I am holy, you be holy.
Perhaps at this point you're thinking to turn me off or to scoot the podcast forward to the end. I'm not sure I would blame you. I might be tempted the same myself, because the subject of holiness sounds boring and stuffy. When we think about holiness, we probably imagine it being spoken about by preachers with big black Bibles and even bigger frowns, speaking in the commanding tones of the language of King James. Just as he which hath called you is holy, so be ye holy. A list of do's and don'ts, thou shalt and thou shalt not, rules and regulations and instructions and prohibitions that ban all but the most dismal attempt at festivity and suck all satisfaction from life. When we think of holiness, we often find ourselves feeling a little guilty because we imagine it to be a standard that we'll never be able to live up to. And actually, what's worse is that we imagine it to be a standard that we don't even want to live up to, because we imagine it to be something that will make us into dull, joyless, friendless clones, living tedious, uninteresting, colourless lives. But bear with me a little today, because I think that image of holiness is as far from the truth as black is from white. When we understand what holiness is, I believe it's something that we would long for with all of our hearts. My mum used to have a phrase that she would sometimes use to describe folk: too heavenly minded to be of any earthly use. I guess that most of us who've been in the church for more than a few years can think of just the sort of people that phrase might be referring to. And I think often that that is the image that comes to mind when we think of what it might mean to be holy. But it would seem that Peter didn't feel that way at all. Holiness to Peter means that we must be of earthly use. It's a practical matter. The version Elizabeth read from started with the phrase, so roll your sleeves up. Other translations might say, prepare yourself for action. Peter literally says, gird up your loins. In the first century, men would wear long flowing robes, and to gird up their loins meant tucking your robe into your belt. It was something that they would do when getting ready for some hard work or for battle. It made it easier to move around. In other words, Peter says, get ready for action. Holiness must be practical. Holy living should be something that brings heaven down to earth, into the here and now. It's not about us lifting ourselves up, but about bringing the kingdom down to those around us. True holiness is a practical holiness. To Peter, being holy is being like God, and that's the most exciting thing in the world. Holiness means being so much like God that you change the world. Or to be more precise, holiness means to be so much like God that the world begins to change around you. Jesus put it this way.
You're here to be salt seasoning that brings out the God flavour of this earth. You're here to be light, bringing out the God colours of this world. God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. Now that I've put you there on a hilltop, on a light stand, shine. Keep open house. Be generous with your lives. By opening up to others, you'll prompt people to open up with God, this generous Father in heaven.
To be holy is to be an agent of transformation. It's to be salt in a world that doesn't understand that it's flavourless, light in a world that doesn't know it's dark. Holy living is an embodiment of all that God asks of us. True holiness is loving God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. It's loving your neighbours as you love yourself, and it's putting it all into practical action that transforms you and transforms your world. If you're a Christian, there ought to be a family resemblance. God's children ought to reflect their Father's basic character to the world. To be holy means to live so that others will think well of God. To be holy means bringing credit to our Heavenly Father by what we say and do. It means living so that those who don't know Him will be able to glimpse Him because they can see us. Being holy means living so that others will say, "He serves a wonderful God," or "She has a true joy in her life that nothing seems to be able to take away." It's to live in such a way that God will look down from heaven and say, "That's my boy," or "That's my girl."
Christ of